Eating, dancing, getting down, spending we Christmas in Guyana. Watching all the little children running up and down, playing excitedly with their toys. Making sure we get we share of curry, goat and rum. Chocolate cards and dominoes with the boys. Yes, man. There's nothing like me home on Christmas morning. Everybody there soca dancing. Masquerade band coming down. Mother Sally prancing round. Spending we Christmas in Guyana. Merry Christmas! Ginger beer jumping, winding up the boomsy in and out. Sneaking in the kitchen to see what grandma cooking. Putting something hot inside me mouth. Ow! There's nothing like me home on Christmas morning. Garlic pork and black fruit cake baking. Plenty sorrel and mobby, ice apple and enough sweet tea. Spending we Christmas in Guyana. Ho, ho, ho! Christmas. Hey, Captain Paul, how black eye boy? Hey, sure. Merry Christmas, boy. Ho, ho, ho. Christmas come, Marco and them boys are wrong, drinking rum and telling old time story. Neville Budan is the man, Christmas he does kill two round, we eating long roti with chip curry. Not the back, nothing like me home on Christmas morning. Good friends already gathering. Eating lava meat well done, drinking wine and XM rum, spending we Christmas in Guyana. Welcome, boys. Cheers. On the plane, I'm drinking booze. Pilot said for call Santa Cruz. Ingrid begging me to make a stop. She don't want no Callaloo. Trinidad Pillow won't do it. Guyanese met them G and pepper pot for she. There's nothing like me home on Christmas morning. Liming with me friends and family. Greeting everyone around. Eating, dancing, getting down. Spending we Christmas in Guyana. Spending we Christmas in Guyana. Spending we Christmas in Guyana. Merry Christmas.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. It is yesterday, Saturday edition of the Corridor Sunday. What happened to me? Yes, the Sunday edition of the Corridor Transformation. Of course, your host and husband. Why am I saying Sunday? You know why? I mean Saturday. You know why? Because, of course, last night we didn't have, we had it preemptive, should I say, for a better term. But of course, that being as it may, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the Sunday edition. Let's see a little more of that Christmassy item, of course, coming out of none other place, the place to be, I suppose, and the fact that they are moving inexorably, of course, to take over what I consider to be the hegemonic position of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean and therefore in CARICOM. It being, of course, a South American country, yes, but of course it's considered to be part of the Caribbean, even though it is South America. I suppose that is a good lesson, of course, for our students, because they may believe that somehow all Caribbean countries as far as their names are concerned and the association thereof, and of course with the historical antecedent of colonialism, may well believe that it's only the Caribbean islands. So no, we also have, of course, a country in South America called Guyana, British Guyana to be exact. That, of course, is part and parcel of CARICOM and considered a part of the Caribbean, even though it is, of course, located geographically in South America. Let's hear. Yes, indeed.
Ho, ho, ho! There's nothing like me home on Christmas morning, liming with me friends and family, greeting everyone around, eating, dancing, getting down, spending we Christmas in Guyana, watching all the little children running up and down, playing excitedly with their toys.
Yes, indeed, just like in Trinidad, of course, Guyana, no exception. But of course, we have a job to do. And
every road to be built in this country
this
has to be built by the government. Every school, every health center, every this, every that. Because in this country, for the last generation or two, we've grown up on the government. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government.
A profound statement indeed, and of course that occurred because we are looking, of course, as to what was transpiring in the initial or the nascent or the genesis stage of this administration that has been in government clearly for too long, but since 2015. And of course, just after they got into government, and in all places, Laventille, Rowley, of course, tells the nation through, of course, the medium that he would have used on that occasion, very early in 2016, so 1 year after he got into government, that we must wean off the government. But that by itself, and the location and the occasion, the statement by itself is not only, of course, contradictory or flies in the face of what was being promised. Because remember, it was in Laventille in the elections. Yes. And don't get me vexed before I play it, you know. It was in Laventille, Rowley said, in Mova Junction, at least Mova Junction, I want to be very specific here. We're talking about the junction by the walkover. So it's more, of course, opposite Monsieur and entering, of course, where you will enter to go to Never Dirty and Mon Repos. Rowley said in no uncertain terms that if you wake up, because he even made a mistake with the date of the election, you know. He said it was in April. I'm going to play it for you if you get me vexed, you know. But here, in April, and then when he realized, of course, the crowd was approaching him and, of course, trying to indicate to him, well, listen, you have the date wrong. And then he said, of course, with the usual, of course, what we know now to be, of course, excuse-laden, but, of course, trying to do so with some degree of dignity, will not say that he make a mistake. Let me just get let me just get the phone.
Christmas morning, liming with my friends and family, greeting everyone around, eating, dancing, getting down, spending.
Indeed, of course, my profuse apology, of course. Yes, indeed, of course, we had a little breakdown there in terms of the camera, and then, of course, the mic went berserk as well. So I had to make the necessary adjustments. I think we have corrected that in short measure. But the fact of the matter is that, of course, the volatility of modern, let's say, technology is such that, of course, we sometimes get frustrated, but we must not, of course, because the task that we have is so important, such an imperative that, of course, we can't afford to be frustrated to the point of being ad nauseum, meaning that to be sick. What the caller was saying is that he called in by mistake. However, of course, he extended, of course, Christmas greetings to all of you who would have been online. That being as it may, of course, let me formally say once again, for those of you who just came on, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming at the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. This is, yes, the Sunday night edition of the Corridor Transformation, your host, Lennox Smith. And I was making the point about, of course, the character called Keith Christopher Rowley, and the fact that the series that, of course, engulfs and, of course, attempts to demonstrate irrefutably, indelibly, and without, of course, controversy, indubitably, that Rowley has set out, not knowing that he has a plan, but of course capitalizing on the sympathy, on the goodwill of the thing called PNM. The thing called PNM. You see, I have been grappling with this situation for a very long time. I hear people saying, for example, of course, Marcel, who of course is the candidate to replace Hines, that of course nobody could beat him, etc., etc. But that is a fallacy. It's a fallacy from the point of view that the deck has been stacked, has been, of course, he has an unfair advantage. You see, all I have to say is take him and put him in the next party. Let him go up independent if he's so popular and see if he's going to get the support. That, of course, the people are saying simply because he is, of course, contesting for the PNM, and they know full well that PNM has dominated, of course, the Laventille constituencies from time immemorial. That's just waste time. So therefore, it has nothing to do with him. It's good for him in terms of his resume to say, well, look, I was a parliamentarian, etc., etc. But in terms of course, of truly being a popular individual, because he will have some challenges, which of course I don't want to disclose at this point in time, but there are some serious challenges that he would have in that particular constituency, not necessarily as far as voting is concerned, but as, of course, being able, of course, to unfold his campaign. We will deal with that in due course. You see, there is none, I say so, don't fear of contradiction, there is none that has the authority to speak on Laventille as Lennox Smith. None. Because none of them have been able to take youths from every single nook and cranny of Laventille and have them, of course, in one place in Laventille. At first it was Passley Street, and afterwards it was at Fernandez compound on that industrial estate, and of course delivering to them opportunity for transformation, opportunity to, of course, generate the paradigm shift that is required for attitudinal change. Give them an opportunity to capacity build in such a way that individually and community-wise they will be able, of course, to contribute to society. And society here means, of course, their family, their neighborhood, their community, their village, and ultimately Trinidad and Tobago. No one can boast of that. They can say what they want, because they'll have to prove to me what they put down on the ground, what planting they put down, what exercise, and what, of course, history they have of course, doing such a thing on a mass basis. On a mass basis, forget Hines, apart from the fact that it was my idea for the establishment of what is now known the Laventille Continuing Technology and Continuing Education Center. That is my idea. The name, I must confess, that is what, of course, Heinz is boasting of. That, of course, we had a name before he came into office, which was, of course, the Port of Spain, or the East Port of Spain Development Center, or the Inner City Transformation Center, words to that effect. We didn't get around to that when the government changed, because it was under Ganga Singh, who was the Minister of Tertiary Education, that, of course, that proposal came from me, utilizing, of course, what was the old Ramban. It was burnt, and I saw it as an ideal central location for the establishment of what we were doing in MLIO since 1984. Since 1984. And when that opportunity presented itself, we said, well, listen, let us use that as a central facility, because we were very conscious, and our programs were designed to address the very, in its nascent stage, in its early stages, in its embryonic stages. You had, of course, the issue of this invisible borderline that we recognized, and our programs were tailored to suit that. Today, they are saying that because they understand, like people like Cummins, who don't know if he's going or coming, talking about he now going into the community and, of course, delivering program because they understand the borderline. When he says that, I know that he's an ignoramus. I say that he is ignorant. I say that he is none the wiser as to what the true dynamics that not only has generated that, and not only has sustained it, but will, of course, if corrective measures by persons who are in the know are not given the opportunity to correct because of their experience, then it will, unfortunately, especially under a PNM administration, it will just ferment, grow, and therefore mushroom into, of course, something that none of us, a beast that none of us would want to encounter or even contemplate. So let us get it clear. Heinz can't think further than his attenuating rasta strings that he have in his head. Yes, they are being emaciated, so he can't think that far. They're too thin for him to think that far. So let us not waste time. And of course, the Minister of Youth and National Service and so on, that's only a tip, and should I say, a minuscule component, utilizing, of course, state resources, and in my view, too much. But a person like me did it with nothing. Over 300 youths at a time of the kind that all of us are concerned with today, 15 years and to around 20 years. Have all of them there. 300 of them at a time in very sticky and unaccommodating, as well as, of course, humid conditions, because we had no air condition and all of that. Dusty warehouse. And 300 of them gravitated there. They have no history of that. So I could boast without fear of contradiction, and none of them could say no. None. And you're going to vex and bring the complete proof. Let them bring their proof. But they could talk. Fellows like Heinz could talk. Only today, of course, I had a conversation with Archbishop Barbara Grayburg, because annually we will have, of course, something called an anti-crime symposium, only for the Laventilles, of course, but at the same time addressing new developments as far as crime is concerned, and of course improving, or should I say adding to what are some of the amelioratory or some of the preventative, as well as, of course, addressing the issue as we see it, because it is a bi-yearly matter, every 2 years. And I can tell you, Heinz was at one of them. We never invite him again after he told us that the very organizers are part and parcel of promoting or organizing crime. And I say, look at this nasty, ugly, thunder-headed, bald-headed, pretending, of course, to be some kind of peacock, when in fact he has no depth, he only a flare, and telling us that we, as Mr. Burke, she told me that today, she reminded me of that, I say, look at that. And today, he's the Minister of National Security, and I started most murder than any previous minister, and I'm sure anyone in the future, because the future Minister of National Security will be under the Kamala Prasad Bissesa UNC administration. So they could never beat what Hines has, of course, delivered to the people in a short stint as Minister of National Security. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night.
Pleasant good night to you.
Yes.
Compliments of the season to you and everybody on the live tonight.
Yes.
And I pray that in 2025 we get observers, international observers for the election to get this parasite called the evil, wicked, satanic government called the PNM. So I've seen that incident on my end here, some ways, heritage, I think, well, what they used to call it, Chima, where a platform collapsed.
Yeah, that platform collapsed into the sea. It reminds me of the road to Point 14, like getting the tail end of the curse of Rowley and them, because the highway to Point 14, a piece of the highway collapsed into the swamp below. Now, of course, a platform. I mean, sorry for sounding, a bit hilarious, but I mean, it is a joke. That all these tragedies can happen around during the period of one party, one man as Prime Minister. This is a classic case of course, evil in high places. Go ahead, my friend.
But Point Curse, years ago, when Eric William come and say Trinidad and Tobago was a jackass, Point 14 will be the pattern in the detail.
Oh my goodness, well, yes. Because he said of Laventille that if you put a crapo in a Balizetai, they go vote for the PNM. I suppose the saying still continues to today. But go ahead.
Right, because that's just showing you how illiterate the majority of people in these PNM areas are. Because these people are insulting you, whole-facedly insulting, and these people and them take it as nothing. Because look, I see they want to build some phase 2 in some sports complex. Lennox, these people and them treating the people them like fools in this place. Because you build a sports complex. And when they do the research, what is a sports complex? A sports complex is when you're having more than one activities taking place on that set ground.
Yes.
In
the term complex alone suggests multiplicity of activities. But go ahead.
Right. And in Mahaika here, where they build that so-called complex, is when the football and be seen take football and party.
All right.
If it's not football, it's some party. And then they want to build a next one where they put in the track and field. Right? And I find that just waste of money because they have a next ground where they used to play cricket. Take the money, upgrade that ground, put the track and field around that ground where they used to do cricket, and upgrade the pavilion in that next area. But no, they want to wash the money so they go get kicked back. You understand?
Yes. I hear you. And I like the term wash the money because, of course, it's another term for money laundering. But I love the term that you use because I want to also say quickly that the SRC opportunity to increase, of course, the emoluments and benefits to the Prime Minister and others is another way that they would use to wash the monies that would have been ill-gotten whilst they were in government, because they are sure to get the hell out of government in the next elections.
But Lennox, I want to say this before I go. Anybody who aligned with the PNM, who listening to this program right now, I'm telling you, for the last time, get off the high horse water riding, because these people and them in the PNM trying to create a new hell on earth. I don't know who gave them the contract to do so, but I want to believe that is this PNM plan. Because if these PNM want to interfere with the pensioners' money, that alone to show that is a different evil we're dealing with. There's no ordinary evil we are dealing with 50, 100, 200 years ago. This is a new evil. These people are breeding new synods to go in that balize, whether it be aligning themselves with these snakes and them have new technology in merge with them because they're not normal. These people and them with the minister who get burned in the house, all of them pointing fingers. The saying is the fire service saying no, it didn't have no water, so it's the ministry and utilities. Lennox, these people and them know the time is running out. They know that. So what they want to do, create a set of destruction. Right? So I pray that everybody who are alive today, that they will continue to ask God to guide them and protect them, because last night I was my facade making a little go shoe. And I hear something make a noise behind me.
Ah.
When I watch, the man fall along. This morning I hear the man dead.
Wow.
Man just fall along and come just so and dead. You understand?
Yeah, you. I hear
So
you, my
people have to
friend.
be mindful. People have to be mindful of what it is going on. Not only in the physical realm, but in the spiritual realm.
Yeah,
And
they could call me superstitious. They could call others superstitious. They could call them, of course, believing in supernatural, etc. But boy, having regard to the frequency and the nature so deep and so profound, I have no choice but to follow suit and say yes. Evil rarely dwells in high places, as the Bible says. And who is me to, of course, deny or not live that fact when we see, of course, so much instances that is inexplicable, cannot be explained, as I've said about, of course, the death of Lisa Morris Julian. That, listen, how statistically, how possible it is, even if it's 1 out of 10 times or 100 times, but in this case, is 1 out of 1.5 million people. And when you break it down further, it's 1 out of 41 persons. That in itself is a minuscule number compared to the 1.5. And then break it down further. How come it's in Arima? And if it's in Arima, how come it's that particular house? And how come, of course, that house, the person couldn't get out with her 2 children, but of course, 5 others, yes, 8 of them, 5 others got out, even though the husband was, of course, burnt and is still, I think, hospitalized. And worse yet, how come the fire hydrant or the fire tender is a stone's throw away, walking distance, and yet still it wasn't there. It was attending, of course, a industrial fire. And even when the Tunapuna was called to assist, the Tunapuna fire service station was called to assist, quite apart from the distance, it too was attending to a domestic fire. But even when they reached, they didn't have water. So that death, whether it was by human error or human, should I say, deliberate action, there must be some kind of cosmos, and I say it's something that created that situation, because one person or those 3 dead persons could not have attracted all those multiple of incidents, any one of which could have, of course, saved their lives. Any one of them, if the fire brigade had reached on time, if there was water in the pipes, if of course the others could have come out with adequate water to douse, of course, the flame, so as to rescue the others that may have been trapped inside. All of those are scenarios, and yet still all of that worked against that situation. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, here is the icing on the cake for me.
Go ahead, my friend. Yes.
Here's the icing on the cake. You see, when Rowley turned around and said that she was the best minister, I said, but wait now. This man wait until a woman dead to say she's the best minister. Well, I know I gotta realize the rest of them are what just said, because in order for them to be the best minister, all of them have to dead for you to continue to say that.
Well said, my friend. That is the logical conclusion. I agree with you. It has to be. It has to be, because I'll tell you something. It's only today I realized when I looked at the history, the political history of the late Maurice Julian, I realized that she became a parliamentary representative by some kind of default, or to put it more specific, by accident. Remember, it was Antoine that made a bad statement about the Americans. He was the man that was already selected for that seat, and he made a bad statement about the Americans, and they had to reduce the amount of candidates by one, the PNM that is, until of course she turned up, having left of course the office of mayor. But even when she went into the national politics, the seat that she left, PNM lost it. So there's a number of moving parts that we are yet to understand, because it is mired in mystery. But let's go to Elijah. President, good night. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
Yes, man. Well, boy, I understand it, and I had to just laugh here because, we had to consider even stop the land from the first time we allow Rowley to be the opposition leader.
But it had to be. Go ahead, my friend. I agree. Go ahead, man.
Yes.
Yes.
And he uses that opportunity to start evil, because the first evil to propel him into power was Email Gate.
Yes.
Right? And
the first major one, yes.
Yeah, because Email Gate, he had it 6 months before he revealed it. And if you had to hold back something for 6 months, where the life of a journalist was involved in it, you didn't even study if they might kill the journalist. So you see, that was a total lie, because he was to hold it back in order to get closer to the election. Because if he had used it before, you know how Trini is, then the Kamala Bissessa led partnership might have been able to redeem themselves with whatever he say. So he get closer to the election, then use it in Parliament. You see? And when this man look at Mr. Manning sick with his stroke and say, look at how this man who threw me out of office, look at how he get. How that couldn't be his saddest day in his life, seeing a former PNM leader as Mr. Manning sick with a stroke, and he wasn't sad about that. It's only when this woman died, this become his saddest day in his life. You see? This man make up in a way. If he's so sad about this woman, he don't care about the 4 people who died in the pipeline. He don't care about the 3 little children who died in the fire. How much time mothers and 2 other children died in fire, and none of them things make him sad. All the murders were taking place, suicide, accident.
The man say he was bathing in tears. He was bathing in tears, you know. Huh? He said he was bathing in tears for Maurice Julian. But we will get on with that as well. But go ahead, my friend. You're making a lot of sense.
Yes, but look at this. You so sad for this person, the saddest day in your life, and the saddest day in your life can't even bring your own money out of your own pocket to do something for somebody. If this is my saddest day, me are looking to use taxpayers' money, boy, to fix these people, boy. I want to show this sadness. I going in deep in my pocket and do what I could do for them, right? Me, I want taxpayers' money to make me do that. Everything had to be free for ESO.
Yeah.
If you had to go away, it's freeness.
The man that total parasite.
Your medical bill is freeness.
Parasite in the
anything you do is just freeness. Eh?
He's a parasite in the
And he said that all Yes. He said the citizen must win themselves of the government. But he ain't winning himself off the citizen. You understand how this man make up? This man is pure evil. And I will really have to believe in what I say, and I believe so in my heart, because this man had interfered with every independent institution, he make it his own, you know.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So he involved in everything Trinidad have. He's the boss in it. And it have a lot of people, boy, who have no integrity in them, boy. They just holding on to everything. But I will tell them something. Jesus say it's easier for a camel to go through the eyes of a needle than for a rich man to go through, to reach heaven. So then, what will happen there? You could go ahead and get rich. You fix up, man. If all you only want to see money in all the way, and nobody ever want to take a stand, right? Everybody just taking it,
yes.
taking it. And many of us on the outside here, we willfully disbelieve in things. We know things is the truth, and we willfully disbelieve in that just for our own gain.
Yes, thank you
you
very much.
understand?
But
let me tell you something
go ahead.
before I go.
Yes.
You see that Carrie Marcel was going up in Laventille?
Uh-huh.
He had no mind at all. You see, anybody could go on Rowley side, really chipping it off
But I'll
the
tell
block,
you
brother.
something, he's like a lamb to the slaughter. And I hope I get the
Naturally.
opportunity, of course, to speak to him, because, of course,
Yes.
he's well intended. I saw him grow up. I was regularly in his mother's house. Yeah, we did some project for the development of Beetham in their very house, etc. And all of that. So I am pretty close, and I know, of course, his earlier, of course, political stance and all of that. So I'm very, very, very familiar with the young man. But
Oh gosh,
there is an issue that I would really wanted to draw to his attention, because, of course, that may determine whether or not he moves forward. Let me put it that way. I ain't saying no more.
He going wrong the wrong line, boy. He going wrong the wrong line, and he looking like a young fella who really might want to do something.
He wants to help, but
he
of course
cannot be like
you
Maurice
cannot
Marshall.
help. It is an exercise in futility. If, of course, you settle for what I consider to be brackish or dirty water, and
correct,
and people selling you it as clean. All right.
Boy, I just remember man and son say that how the music band for Rowley to bring back the father music band. he promised him that. He ever do that?
He made many promises that never materialized. That's typical.
Yeah,
PNM.
that's the whole
Promises
thing.
never
You understand?
PNM. Yeah.
Boy,
All right, my friend. I have several persons calling. Yes.
That's the master of all that. I'll listen up to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Of course, a very, very sterling contribution as per usual, and of course, quite a number of issues there. And as I said, I have some concerns. It's my duty, of course, to express that. There are those who, of course, will convert it into something other than that, like, take, for instance, you're jealous or something like that. No, I can't be jealous to anybody who go in and attach themselves to the PNM. I feel sorry for them. But, of course, we need, as comrades, as residents in the same place, committed, of course, to the same cause. And I have no doubt in my mind because he has been, of course, talking about Marcel here, he has been, of course, working in the Beetham community. And there is where the issue is, in the Beetham community. Anybody who is listening and understand why I am emphasizing Beetham community will know what I'm talking about. But let's get on, of course, to the other aspects of this discussion tonight. And it has to do, of course, with Dr. Rowley's early statement. Let's go to the line. Yes, indeed. Sorry about those who were on, whilst, of course, the other caller. I take a little bit of time with everybody, but so have a little patience with us. We'll try to see if we can regularize that in due course. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yes, man. This is the Silver Fox here.
Yes, man. Go ahead.
Lennox, you ever hear in your whole life a man get up with tears and covering tears
Never.
in your whole entire
Never.
life?
The only person, I think there was a Cinderella story of that nature, but I think the tears would have been to assist someone to get out of some kind of trouble. But he tears come with somebody who got into trouble and can't reverse it. They died.
You can imagine if she has found the red chair
I could well imagine. Yes, yes, yes.
And the husband ended up finding out she saw the red chair.
Wow.
You know what could happen there? Something my grandmother teach me in my life. She said, an old stove, an old car, and a red dollar, keep away from it. Thank you.
I hear you, my friend. That's it. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. A lot of, should I say, morals in that story. A lot of moral stories of ethical value, of right and wrong value, of course, a sense of high standard. You keep away from certain things simply because they are trouble, they are derelict, and therefore what you would like to extract from it, if you want to get from place to place, don't rely on that. And I can tell you, because I have a whole car there, and I can tell you from time to time when I'm really depending on it, it just simply refused to go, and I had to call the mechanic, and it costed me more. I remember last Christmas, anyhow, let's go to the line. I'm too embarrassed to mention this one, so let me go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Let me just engage. Right, good. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
You
Yes.
know what Trevor Fox was saying?
Yes.
If you listen to that clip, the man was talking about it. It's some tutor Trevor Fox saying, you know.
Yes.
Because Dr. Rowley was saying that is the best MP he ever had, right?
Yes.
So he belittling all the rest of them that in the cabinet.
Oh yes,
And furthermore,
They know that, and they will smile. 30 pieces of silver cause that. But go ahead.
And furthermore, Lennox, play the clip. You go hear him say, Miss Morris is an easy woman to live with.
Yeah.
I want to know how he living with she. The two of them married? How is this? How is it easy for you to live with? Lennox?
I hear you. I would say, you know, that is a colloquial expression. It is a figurative expression. I will give him that one, but the part with bathing with tears and the mistake with respect to timing, that he got up 7 o'clock in the morning, got the news, went back to sleep 10 o'clock and get back up 12. I can't see that because he can't be two places at the same time, because we finished our program at 10 and he was on the scene. We have the clips on the scene before 9 o'clock. Go ahead, my friend.
But that entire story where I know telling you that come from the same segment, you know.
yeah, I know. I heard it. Yes.
Right. So I mean, what this man talking about husband find out and they want to be part of it. We don't know, eh?
Yes.
Either we just speculate.
Yeah, you don't put nothing beyond him, but you know, there is a level of being far-fetched to be too far-fetched because of your biases towards a particular individual. We don't want to song as though, even though we are subjective, we don't want to song. We don't want to song so subjective. That our objectivity fades into the wilderness. Let me put it that way.
I just making an assumption.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, right. You can do that.
If I was any other minister, I would be so belittled. Eh?
Yeah. But they don't mind that. The piece of silver. None of them covered or showed any body or facial expression to denounce or to decry or to disapprove of that situation, because of course I suppose people like Imsbert, people like Young, people like Penelope Beckles, people like Regis would have been relegated at that moment to second fiddle. Let me put it that way. That's all?
Well, they're singing and dancing for the supper according to you.
Yeah, 30 pieces of silver caused them to accept all of that abuse. Put it that way. All right, my friend, I have another caller.
Wait. I just want to offer my commiserations to Andy. I know he tried his best.
Yes.
But he took us on the granny seat and he wasn't selected. But Andy is a man. He have plenty cojones then. He was bad for the team.
Yeah,
right?
of course. And there
forward.
are other opportunities, I'm sure, that we could exploit in due course. All right? But I still want confirmation from the source, so I'm not going to comment on it as yet. And tomorrow morning, of course, we'll have an opportunity to expatiate.
But Lennox, before I go, the two media house come out with that, you know.
All right,
So
okay,
I
no problem, no
think
problem.
that
I know that,
they
I
will
know
go
that, but still, there's a certain source I want to get it from. All right, I don't know if because the source of also if Andy got a communication, for example, that's the source I would want to take it from. Right.
I hope it's not new source you're taking from, eh?
No, not even pepper sauce. All right. Pleasant. Let's see what's happening here. I call a call back. Sorry about that. Try to finish in time to catch you, but unfortunately that wasn't to be. So the point I am making is that Dr. Rowley, from commencement of his political foray to firstly get control of the PNM, a person like that would have never been able to do so if there wasn't the disaster of 1986 to the Treaty. Never would have been able to get there. Not even Manning would have been able to get there. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Pleasant good night to you, Mr. Lennox, and all your listeners on the World Wide Web.
Mm-hmm.
And let us share the season for sharing.
Yes, man.
And compliments to all listeners and supporters.
Yes. And I was asked, of course, before we go further, I was asked to convey to you and your wife and family, of course, the same. And thank you for the contribution that was made towards, of course, our Christmas hamper and toy drive. We want to thank you profusely, and my own, of course, thanks as well. But go ahead.
So, Mr. Lennox, you see how you're advertising my business? I will advertise your business.
No, well, I am not Rowley. I am not Rowley. I give credit where credit is due. It's only he that gives credit where it is not due, and take credit for himself where he didn't deserve.
The credit? That man don't even give credit by. He don't take cash. He don't even give credit by. That man, he wants a... But anyway, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
The saddest day in this country is when our PNM dead. I already extend my condolences and may the soul rest in peace.
Right.
But the Bible says, let the dead bury the dead. Right? And I want to remind the listeners tonight, 14 innocent babies had met the demise in the hands of this stinking PNM led by Keith Rowley.
Yes.
And the health minister, the Al Singh, and he coming to say that is the worst thing ever happened to PNM dead. Mr. Lennox, let me be real now, boy. Uncle Lennox, just imagine, right? The man does say he doesn't sleep. He only work 24 hours. He say he doesn't only sleep for just a half an hour.
Yeah, one man say, our next man say, for him, he get the impression that there's more than 24 hours in one day for Rowley.
Yeah, but they see when they want to lie.
Jokers. But go ahead.
Yeah, so when they want to lie and fabricate things because they know the supporters, you could tell them a piece of KFC wing is the drumstick, boy. Let me be real brutal tonight, boy.
More than that, you could tell them a KFC wing is a plain wing, and they will take that too.
But again, I don't know what level educate them people and education standard, and that will Rowley put them in. And then you see 18,000 again went through the crack just the other day. My focus is on, just imagine Rowley say, he went to bed, and then he get up at 12 o'clock in the day.
And then get back up 12, but was at the scene at the event talking to his ministers around 9 o'clock, because I could say that without fear of contradiction, because we were on the program on the ground report that finishes at 10, and we were filing and of course viewing videos of him on the scene, giving instructions and talking to his ministers.
When he come on the paddle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right. So I think as one of the callers said, the only reason why he would have gotten mixed up is of course because of his evil deeds. Of course, they say that who the gods wish to destroy, they first send them mad, so they will speak things like that. But I think what's more significant, his punchline. He was so hurried to get his punchline out that she was the best parliamentarian of his party. I think that is what confused him. He's so hurried to get that lie out that of course he misconstrued the entire chronology in terms of time. That's the only explanation I can give for that. But that is of course a person who lies and lies spontaneously.
And 9 years of them lying, and then it have, you know what the hurtful part?
Yeah.
It have people on other stations and talk show, they will come out and talk and say, the man deserve it. How the hell in this world, the public servant in the salary review committee, they make a mistake and pay them less? Eh? The thief and everything and the lying.
Yeah.
Eh?
And all of that, as one caller said already, very, very, very intelligent callers, you know. That all of that is to lay a platform, a foundation for money laundering. That is what that is all about, for washing of the monies that they would have stolen, because they could now say, listen, just get my back pay, so I buy this house, I buy this tractor, I buy this van, I buy this company, etc., outside of course, being in government. That is what that is all about. That's why they had to take it, even though, of course, Leon's, of course, was of a different view and has now paid the penalty. He's no longer, of course, considered to return to Laventille East Movement.
Because he had a fabricated family problem. And I want to tell talk on the water situation. Right?
Yeah.
The WASA, they can blame out this John Hines. If it had a fire tender, shortage of fire tender, you're not purchasing $7 billion.
I'll tell you, what is the possibility of that happening with all of these variables come into play to impact on one of only 41 persons that could ever be at one time for a 5-year period in government in this country? I mean, there's something very, very, what I consider to be enigmatic, mysterious, strange about that. Strange, I cannot put my hand on it as yet, but it could be, of course, Rowley and Likoto, and the amount of failures that he has, of course, exhibited over the 9 years. And then, of course, saying that the PNM and the Balize was broken, and now we're billing something for $100 million. That's blood money. That's people's money. It's clear. And the Cosmos or whatever.
Yeah, the universe. Yes, the universe.
Yes, something has come together to, of course, focus on these people because they are evil. Metaphysics, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and the karma is coming back to haunt them.
Karma, all of that, all of those terms, yes, karma, yeah. All of that, yes. Because poetic justice, you can't be all those terms.
And I want the senior citizen to understand, and those who soon to be senior citizens, right, that don't take it for granted, because the evidence is out there, Mr. Lennox. Uncle Lennox, that property tax, they said they didn't come in with it. They rush it down, they lie. They lie on it until they get the amount. No,
and you tell me that you don't believe that they lie about, they don't, you want to tell me that somehow they could be believed, or that they could not tell lies about the present circumstance of the pension that they intend to attack, and only suspended it because an election is at hand, similar to what they did to Roger and Patriotic. They told them, hold on, it is inevitable, and after that they cussed them so much so that Roger has to now hang on to the coattail of the petticoat of Kamala Prasad Bisesa for salvation and protection.
And at least he come to his senses, because he get to realize, right?
Yeah.
And he wake up and see that hoodwinking, he put out over 20,000 people directly and indirectly of service companies out of a job.
Yeah,
And
65,000 in
now, he
fact.
try,
On the southwestern peninsula.
yeah?
Yeah, 65,000 persons directly and indirectly affected. And
Right.
you want to say that these
So-
people not curse?
And I want the pensioners to understand. I highlighted where he talk about property tax and he bring it, he shove it down the throat, and he say he put bill where you will take
They
your
can't
property.
tell me that they don't realize that the man is a consummate and habitual and pathological liar. I see some other people calling in. So Tobago, seeing San Fernando, etc. So you have to wind up. All right, okay. All right, so he has given us way. Let's go to Tobago. President, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Yeah, good night, Lennox. Calling from Tobago.
Yes, go ahead. Sorry about the delay.
Compliments.
Yes, go ahead.
Compliments of the season to everybody on the chat, your family, Andy, Leno, my Kiki, and everybody else on the ground report, right?
Okay.
So something that I want to talk about concerning the same situation in Arima there, right?
Okay.
Well, I used to work as a policeman, right? And I used to be stationed at one time next door to where the fire was, like Morris Plaza, right?
Okay.
On Farfan Street. So I know Arima area, because I worked there for about near 2 years or so by the repair section.
Good, right. Okay.
I'll tell you something about Wassa and this whole situation in Arima. As you know, the word Arima means the village of water, right?
Yes.
That's what it
means
in Spanish.
Agua, yes.
Now, in Arima there, you have 5 water installation in and around Arima. But when they do all these operations, they was aiming only to supply North Trinidad and some areas like in Central and thing, and bypass Arima. So you have like the Guanapo Water Works, you have the Aripo 1 and the Aripo 2, you have the Hollis and you have the North Push. Let me explain to you something where it's gone. All the water from the Aripo and the main road, bypassing Arima, right? Because some of them line and then pass to the back of Arima and going on the old road, the Arima old road, right?
Okay.
Then you have the North Push, which goes down on the highway, all the way down to El Sicuro and Booster to carry up to Picton, because you know Picton have 3 tanks, right? You know about that, right?
Yes, of course.
You are man around Laventille.
Yeah, definitely. The tank we painted,
right?
of
So
course,
you have
Boris
3
Marshall,
tanks. You have 3
portrait and all that. Yes. Go ahead.
Right. Wasa have 3 tanks in Picton there. You seen 2, right? But the biggest out of the tank, that is just above where the secondary school is there. Down in a hole. Right? Many people don't know that, you know. But I'll tell you something. Those tanks are booster to put water up to the top there, St. Bob's tank and St. Bob's tank normally full.
Storage to pump.
Hilton and all them areas in Maraval and all them areas there, right?
Yes.
The Hollis now, which was built by the English, that goes down on the bus route and go all the way down to Westmoreland and all them areas down on that side.
Right.
Which in North which do the same thing.
Okay.
Now up in Hollis there's an intake. That intake in Hollis really supplies Sandy Grande area.
Okay.
So all the years gone by, Arima always have problems. I tell you, I used to work right in the office there and we never used to have water. This is not something new.
Yeah.
And the situation with the fire tenders, I've been working there and I see places in Arima burn down just like that too. And people also like the same way. So I don't understand that fire station never equipped with anything. And it's just about 2 blocks away, you know, from Farfan Street. Right? It's right on the same street with the TCT.
Okay.
So I know Arima, I always in Trinidad and I always in Arima. I might be living Tobago, but I live Trinidad most of my life since I'm a young guy.
Expertly on the location and the geographic position, and so I had to accept that you have spoken authoritatively and noticed it.
Lennox, let me tell you something. I'm born and grow in Delaford in Tobago here, right?
Good.
And let me tell you something. I know Trinidad more than people who born and grow in Trinidad. You want to tell you?
Okay.
I work throughout Wasa in Trinidad and in Tobago. So there are people who will talk about Trinidad, but let me tell you something. They only know where they live in. But I could tell you, I know the length and breadth of Trinidad.
Great. All right. Well, I learned something as well. So you have one on me there too.
Let me tell you something. I know you for years, you know. For years, I know you're in Lennox. Until I used to live on top. When I now come Trinidad, I used to live on top the hill by Red Hill, by the big silver tank.
Yeah.
I fall off and attack flying kite and all kind of thing.
Right, that's right.
So let me tell you something. I just tell people, everything that I gain in life, Lennox, I gain it through Trinidad.
Okay.
So I am not one of them Tobagonian against Trinidad because watch me, all my children are born and go in Trinidad. All. I get education in Trinidad and the future that I get in Trinidad. If I was living Tobago all the time, I would never get them experience and the future that I get by living in Trinidad. So I'm a true Trinbagonians.
Right, great. All right.
And let me tell you something, I am not against East Indian because most of the places I live, when I leave Laventille, I live in Takariga. I married to a woman from Takariga. And I live in along a lot of East Indian people. I even know Mr. Takariga and a lot of people.
Okay.
I know Mr. Santa Cruz and all because I was living up in Lacano there. So I used to see she all. I know the woman personally.
All right, great.
But she might remember my wife. I know she good. A very nice lady. Right? So,
yes.
Let me tell you something. They must get their cards and stop blaming people and all this kind of thing. Then they stop blaming people for Ghana and blaming this one, blaming that. It's not a problem. It's a problem that PNM itself caused.
Yeah.
Because they have been there from interception. The UNC and all them only have 5 years. PNM have been there from wherever I went. And they do another nonsense. They go to office and they come back, they give them 10 much years again. They do more nonsense. They go. Every time the PNM go to office is because of corruption. Let me face it. Stampede, Wallace, all of them with that kind of water treatment plant, which was never designed to build there. They never had a plan to put another plan to put any treatment plant in Piaco. The plan was to put it right in Arena themselves. And you know what them people and them do? They cost taxpayers money over the years by putting a treatment plant down the road and having about 6 dirty rivers running all kind of dirty water into that water and collect it in St. Helena and treating it with chlorine and all kind of different things. Let me tell you something. Them people doesn't tell these. You see the PNM does always blame other people. But let me tell you what happened to the Carney plant there. The Hollis Reservoir dam, right? They use air filters. Hollis, Navet, and Hillsborough Dam use what they call air filters, right?
Right.
But what the PNM did and they build a plant in Piaco, they are every Monday morning, it truckloads of carbon coming from abroad to treat that plant, to purify that water. Charcoals, right? Why the hell you go in this modern day you go build a plant to work with carbon? Well, you have air filters. Air filters over them. Them English and them built in the 30s,
Right,
with
because
air
of
filters.
the sediment and bacterium content of the water?
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, let me tell you something. Not because of that, let me tell you something. That should not have happened with Carney there. Because you already dammed about 5 rivers upstream.
Right.
And the treatment plant should have been right next door. Like how all this next door, Arena next, the one in Arena there. Well, it should have been in Arena. Then you have the Navet. The Navet treatment plant is right next door to the dam.
Almost to the source,
Just like how the Hillsborough dam is the same way. Treatment plant. How the hell you going to ship down the water? You don't even put it in line. They were supposed, if they was putting it currently there as a white elephant, as how they have it, as a white elephant there, they should have shipped the water down into pipelines. Just like what they were using the 3 feet main, they could have used 3 feet main. That's what they're using to go San Fernando and bring the water to the plant and treat it.
Yeah, all right. I hear you.
You see? So it's a lot of things that they do wrong and they don't collect. Let me tell you something. If you ever have to work on a plant in Piaco, which I work, right?
Yes.
And you smell the water that coming into that piscine from that intake.
You ain't drink it. You ain't drink it.
Water is as rank as the water is as rank as that. And let me tell you something. It's going through salt filter and all kind of thing before you treat it.
To get it crystal clear and.
But it's all kind of things these people do, you know. All kind of things these people do, and they always talk about. Why they could kill me? Let me tell you something. If they could kill me, they kill me with the way I just talk, because I just talk based on what I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You see that plant in Piaco there?
Yeah.
Some people always say they must sabotage that plant. And here we used to go on. That plant is just up and shut down for electrical problem. The whole all highest station I need to shut down.
All right.
Down in the back. Because
Yes.
I down in the back, they used to shut down.
Yes.
And they used to fly a man from Miami and bring him in here just to fix the electrical of the plant in the airport.
I hear you.
Right?
All right. Well, all right.
that
No,
for-
okay,
that
because we have
for
some people
years.
coming in. We have some people coming in. Right?
Right, so we got to talk
We
again.
can talk again. Yeah. There's plenty information they're giving me. I like too much for one session. A pleasant good night to welcome, of course, from San Fernando, our friend.
Yeah. I want to say tonight, Merry Christmas to all,
Yes.
and Happy New Year and stuff like that. But apart from that, your last caller from Tobago, I listened to him there. You're talking about the water system in Trinidad. That's
Yes.
true?
Yes, he's talking about the water system. Of course, it was triggered by the lack of water in the incident of the former parliamentary representative for Dabadi, Omira, Miss Lisa Morris
Yeah.
Julian. Yes.
I understand what you're talking about, but
Yes.
you see, the thing is, I have now. I want to say that the water is there, but it is just bad, evil, and wicked management under the PNM. Because Mr. Lennox, you kept using a word what they call kakistocracy.
Yeah, kakistocracy. Yes. A government by persons who can least afford to be in government because they're the worst of them all.
Yeah, they are the worst. But I have to teach you to pronounce that word, in a certain way.
Sometimes I do mix it up with cacophonous, you see. So you understand? So now when you have so many similar sounding, so kakistocracy, yes.
Now, Rowley is the man that said, or saying that the country is washed in blood, and that they are losing the war on crime.
Yes.
Yet this is the same man who is saying that they are operating in a brotherhood of secrecy.
Yes.
Now, question here, right? This is a question here. Are we still wondering why the country is washed in blood?
That's a good one.
Are we still wondering that? They operate in this whole country in terms of they're looking for disaster to happen all over Trinidad, because that fire that took place with the Arima woman, right? I mean, is a disaster, right? But I've always said that even is there a disaster prepared management unit or something operating in Trinidad?
Yeah, there is the disaster management office, something that effect that is up at Trinidad. Yeah, go ahead.
So, no, are they being paid to manage these disasters in Trinidad? Because also too, if you have a flood that's happening, I understand that they don't even have a service to help people if a flood happens. If a flood happens in Trinidad, or any part of Trinidad, right? But yet still, they're just paying these people millions of dollars, just going out the taxpayers, out of the treasury of Trinidad, and we don't see nothing really for it. No.
Yeah, expenditure doesn't match output or delivery. It doesn't match it. It's a sort of imbalance. Yes, but go ahead.
But not only that, I mean, that's a tender word to use. Imbalance.
That's
a tender word to use, because I don't really see it as an imbalance, because look at this. So one of the callers from the ground report talked about it the other morning, right? Rowley and the opening up, as I just say, the opening of this country for disasters to happen all over Trinidad and Tobago. I'll give you a couple of examples. The highway is one in Guyana, that's right there. They're opening up. I mean, look how long that's going on. It's more than a year, and every single day.
and the constant traffic jams that little stretch causes, and the loss of valuable man hours. In terms of industry, yeah.
Okay, look at the other issue. The other issue here is on the seas, on the sea, right? Kamla bought 12 boats, and you want to tell me that it's just wickedness not to put even 1 or 2 boats on the ocean there to
the Gulf of
manage your
Paria,
borders?
Gulf of Paria, yeah.
Because if anything, as I said the other morning also, and even another caller mentioned it too, right? If anything happens to the water taxi or any other boat, small boat that belongs to Trinidad, anything happens on those seas outside there, we open to the elements.
Yeah,
so,
and if it breaks down, you may well drift to the swampy area of the Venezuelan coast.
And it's all kind of things happening outside there. You don't know human trafficking and all kind of things can take place outside there.
If we think we are bad snake here, you go there and see water snake, etc.
Yeah. So this man has opened up this country. What he said, is a Likoto Jambi or something?
Yeah. He went Likoto. He live in where, of course, close to Likoto. He live in close to Likoto, and of course, you see what happened to his predecessor or his former boss Manning. Because he tried to put him out.
I'm telling you, boy, I don't know, boy. And Trinidadians still want to hold this man and bring him in power in 2025. I mean, boy, it had to be sick if that happens.
I agree with you. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes, man.
All right.
Yeah, people are very, very pensive. Of course, for the benefit of those students and so on, the word is kakistocracy. It is spelled Kakis Tocracy. Kakistocracy. You know, Kakis, like kiss, and then Tocracy, Cracy. So kakistocracy. Yes, I admit I have had some problems in pronouncing it because of its of its almost a similarity to that of cacophonous, you understand? But that caco starts with a C. This is a K, kakistocracy. Right, so after today, I will, let's say, give a fair assurance that the pronunciation by me will be, of course, no longer be a significant feature. Let me put it that way. But that being as it may, let us go back, of course, to when Rowley, in his first mission in Laventille, and he tells us that to wean off the government, but more significantly, it was backed up by a statement by his Minister of Finance, Imsbert, who also said that we had enough. We had enough subsidy with respect to water, enough with electricity, etc. Listen to this. Listen to this. You would be shocked. You may be amazed, and you would wonder whether or not you were thinking, or you were listening, or why weren't you listening? It may be more appropriate to say, why weren't you listening when Manning was talking, and then the same opposition leader that is today was then, 9 years later, was saying the same thing, and now you have to accept, such as Roger and others have to accept the fact, and now, of course, they have to, of course, admit by their conduct, by closely associating now with the opposition leader, Kamla Persad-Bissessar. Listen to this. Yes, indeed.
Every road to be built in this country has to be built by the government. Every school, every health center, every this, every that, because in this country, for the last generation or two, we've grown up under government. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government, because the government's shoulder cannot carry the burden anymore. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government.
That's just how it is. We have subsidized water, subsidized electricity, subsidized education. We have subsidized public transportation. And all of these things we now have to pull back on. All of these things we now have to pull back on. The $2.5 billion that we spend subsidizing water rates has to come to an end. The $1 billion that we spend subsidizing electricity has to come to an end.
Every road to be built in this country has to be built by the government. Every school, every health center, every this, every that, because in this country, for the last generation or two, we've grown up under government. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government.
I wonder if you really heard that and you were paying attention. I say to you that started in the first, let's say, complete year of this administration under Rowley in Laventille, a place that he used to confront his former boss, where he said to a very, what I consider to be amazing but absorptive audience, the Bollard Ray, when he said that he went to Likoto and the man who put him out of office, he regretted it. We're going to show you that as well. Don't get me vexed. Don't get me vexed. What we say we mean, and what we mean we say, and we speak nothing but the truth. Those who are offended by the truth, well, hold their tails. Hold their tails. Heinz, Imsbert, Rowley, hold all your tails. Penelope Beckles. Yes, you know I must call your name too, madam. Regis, Robinson Regis.
Every road to be built in this country has to be built by the government. Every school, every health center, every this, every that, because in this country, for the last generation or two, we've grown up under government. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government, because the government's shoulder cannot carry the burden anymore. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government.
That's just how it is. We have subsidized water, subsidized electricity, subsidized education. We have subsidized public transportation. And all of these things we now have to pull back on. All of these things we now have to pull back on. The $2.5 billion that we spend subsidizing water rates has to come to an end. The $1 billion that we spend subsidizing electricity has to come to an end.
Every road to be built in this country has to be built by the government. Every school, every health center, every this, every that, because in this country, for the last generation or two, we've grown up under government. Well, you better begin to be weaned off the government.
I want to tell you something. I'm from Mason Hall in Tobago. Mason Hall very close to Likoto. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it.
Hear them, hear them, hear them.
Remember I was in the cabinet? I took issue over the behavior of Calder Hart and UDCOP. And what happened to me? I was put out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it.
Yes. I'm sure that those of you who are apologists and can't believe your ears and want to say that it's somebody else's voice that I somehow copied and of course played over to make it resemble Rowley's. But let's go to the line before, of course, I
Hello, good
confirm
night.
what I am saying in terms of other proof, instantaneous, that what he said, and not only was it in fact said, but what he meant materialized as is being experienced today. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello, good night.
Good night.
I called to tell you, you all doing a very, very, very good job.
Thank you very much.
Good job. I don't listen to your program all the time. And Rowley said he wanted a break. He told the journalist, he said, oh, you give me a break. Now's the time for you to take the break.
That's right.
Get out.
But you don't want to take
Get
any
out.
break. You afraid blue lights and silver bracelet.
Get out, man. All right, I look good.
Thank you. All right, we have another caller. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Tagarigua. Welcome. We missed that one. Let's go.
I want to tell you something. I from Miss Law in Tobago. Miss Law very close to Lekoto. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it.
Yes. Hold on. Let me just take this off. Pleasant good night. Let's pause, of course, for our cause. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Right, you hear me good?
Loud and clear, my friend.
You see that one voice in the back where Rowley talking the crap?
Yeah, yes.
That's a real zombie business, you know.
My goodness.
So that is real zombie.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell him what. I Rowley something. How come no other government manage nobody? You know, the problem with Billy roads. So how do you ask people to walk and go about the place? And apart from that, if you pay money, just pay their taxes and everything.
But of course, and we are entitled to the spoils of the country. Just
That's
as how
right.
they are entitled, we as citizens born here in Trinidad and Tobago are also entitled to the spoils of the country. And a part of the spoils is that the government many months ago decided, of course, to assist the senior citizens who in the youthful age would have contributed to the country. And you cannot say that the few that didn't, that you will, of course, paint a broad brush and punish all of them. And I say to those in Laventille and Diego Martin and of course Beta Mansilat and so on, you better do what is right in your own interest at this point in time. And the young people better talk some sense into these senior citizens on whom Rowley and them depend in order to stay in government. That is why they pretended that it was a mistake and they wanted to withdraw it temporarily, ephemerally. That is what is going to happen here. Just as, of course, how they set up Roger and the oil company that they formed to get the oil refinery running. Are talking about, of course, patriotic. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, Lennox, it is the responsibility of every government to build roads and everything else for the people. But the people are paid.
Of course.
And this country always had money. Real money. Don't pay them requisitions government, money, camera, and nobody ever had problem with building road. When you ask them come from, but they're supposed to provide road. Let me tell you who's the man that come in this country and start all this trouble, you know. Paris and Rowley. He come in the PNM government with this stupidness, you know. The first thing is he don't see why everybody can take care and clean up in front of their own house. Cut down the grass and all this thing. So his whole plan was to shut down Chulapura Piaco Corporation and all these things. And get rid of all the workers. That they just, you know. Because if you have to clean in front of your own house, cut the grass, you have to treat to the workers.
Right.
Right? You go through. That's the like an evil fella.
Very much so, man.
I'm telling you. And then people can't start cutting on
6 o'clock in the morning while they're sleeping. Yeah?
I mean, the fact that they could think about it, the fact they could think about it, them senior citizens better understand they're playing with serious fire. Serious fire. And they saw it when Rowley tell them under threat that they will lose their pension. And those who were dependent on that pension by way of other members of the family, transport them to those various areas that they say had vaccines and expose them, of course, to mass exposure to the virus, to the COVID virus. People died like fly after that. Some 5,000 of them. Of course, we don't have a million people here, far less for 5 million, but certainly 5,000 persons of the 1.5 died as a consequence of that decision.
You know who the first man there with the vaccine?
Tell me.
Franklin
Kine, yeah, of someone of significance. I agree. And then, of course, our Christmas icon, what's his name? He was promoted, of course. Yes. And he too succumbed to the vaccine.
Yeah, the man who made the vaccine, Pfizer, he had taken that.
Well, look at that.
Yeah. The man said so, he had not taken that.
Yeah.
And he produced it. Well, let me get back to Rowley.
Go ahead.
That thing when you played last night, he was sleeping and dreaming.
Yes.
And all this thing about his fire. You remember Aesop in Aesop Fables?
He what?
You remember Aesop Fables? Aesop Fables.
Yeah, Aesop?
Yeah, Aesop when we all went to school.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yes.
But that's straight out of Aesop.
Okay, I hear you.
Anybody who could believe that could believe anything.
I hear you.
Yeah?
I hear you.
And the next liar, Heinz, who licked down the people's dog and then killed them.
Yeah.
Coming to talk crap on the TV.
Yeah, they're trying to create a narrative that we must listen to them. Rowley, even in the imbroglio with the Auditor General, I am not saying anything, but we would want the population to listen to the government side, suggesting that somehow the government is always right when we know that they are always wrong. Anybody to believe and has been always right is the opposition leader, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, and the various issues that they would have raised over the years that were denied by Rowley, and they only to turn out to be truthful, including the blasted so-called emails that the Commissioner of Police then said is somebody who make up that. Rowley and his cohorts, only to be where they are. Blue lights and silver bracelet must be a feature of their post-government, post-Rowley, post-PNM administration. Let's go. Yes.
That thing when you play last night to Rowley. But he was dreaming and he dreamed all this fire burning on the place and all this.
And he was soaking with water. With tears. That I mean, that if it happened at all, it's because he soaked himself, with water, Yeah, he will do a thing like that. He will soak himself in water and tell his wife, look, so she can witness that he was soaking in heat tears. But that time is water.
Man talk, Lennox.
Yeah. They go on mad.
That's man talk.
Of course it's man talk. Madman is an understatement.
Let me tell you something, Lennox. You saw that girl that with she 2 children and she had?
Yeah, boy.
That heartbreaking, boy, Lennox.
Yeah, of course it is.
Real heartbreaking. And it's only God children. We run back inside the house with fire to save the children,
Yes.
The devil children will leave them to burn.
But everything went against that moment there. The fire attendants somewhere else. When they do come, no water.
And then he water inquiry into water. And the man
trying of course to shift blame and to suggest that somehow they are interested in the interest of people, but at the same time not saying those 4 persons who perished in that pipeline, and not talking about, of course, Andre and her and the other person that of course perished in a similar way, and so many other persons who died in various fires. Tonight I saw someone speaking about the list of them, and I will certainly play it tomorrow night because it is something that all of us must be conscious of, and to show how biased, inhumane, devilish, wicked, insensitive, injurious, and of course barbaric this government is.
And everything that come out of their mouth is arrogance, you know.
Yeah, they're never wrong. It's somebody else. They're prepared, of course, to put, in the case of the most recent, they want to put, of course, a public servant under the bus to say that they were the ones that put, of course, a section for the $25,000 threshold above which you are unqualified to apply for public pension, and he say, and them saying is a public servant do that. Do you imagine that? Only the cabinet has the final say and ought to read. But no, we go deal with that in the fullness of time.
But they had the blasted thing for nearly 2 years.
Apart from that, since September, they filed it in the parliament. Since September, only when Kamala Prasad Bissessa, speaking the truth, told the population, disquiet among, of course, the major, and I should say, a dying breed, but nonetheless, they depend on them to go out there and vote for the PNM, those persons who are 60, 70, 80 years of age. But I want to tell those young people, these people are coming from your homes, the home that you are in. And you have a duty to save your country. I ain't saying anymore. You must know what to do.
But enough, $25,000.
Yeah.
This Donald Cox is a jackass or what?
And a half.
Yeah?
And a half.
So what's she really trying to say with that $25,000?
A number of things she said that doesn't make sense. And when of course, that is before the backlash came. And when the backlash came, she said, no, we never intended, of course, to have any such measure. That wicked, lying, deceitful, and dishonest woman.
And when he talked about Rowley was away, and the liar from Miami was away too, how all that coming to this?
That is part of the projection in psychology. They call it projection, to make you a fool.
So what's that? That thing started off with 47 clauses. That bill and ended up with 1,500 and something clauses. If Kamala didn't notice that in the thing.
Yeah, they pass it and say it's law, and that would have been the new hardship that they impose on the people.
And no pension for nobody next year.
That's right.
And now you see
because they say, because she Donna Cox, I don't know where they get them Cox name from, because the first one was Cockburn. She's Donna Cox now. But the fact of the matter is that she was saying that they are kind. It is not retroactive. So the kind in that regard, them wicked set of people only using poor example of semantics. Yeah.
If the money in the country is our own.
Of course it is ours. I will show them it is ours. Cast your vote for the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bissessa, and we'll show them that the money is ours.
Have to be?
Yes.
I feel these people crazy, you don't have to run in here, no?
Total and absolute. You must get angry. As a senior citizen, don't tell me that you wasn't affected because it is not retroactive. The fact is that your colleague, your co-citizen, who have done his or her duty and now turned 65 and no longer could because of some $25,000 that could only, of course, bury somebody. And the people in Trinidad love not to give their children the pressure, so they keep a little $25,000 in the bank for in case, of course, funeral takes place. They are not able to struggle and face the embarrassment of facing the embarrassment of the begging the state or anybody else for that final justice. Yeah.
All them fellas who contribute all their life, they paid everything that they have to contribute to, right?
Yes.
The rich people and everybody. Suppose you have all them giving what I want me blasted pension. What are you going to do?
Exactly, and the point I'm making, your contract, it was unnecessary to do that because there are people who say, well, no, I am not going to take it because I really don't need it. I have more than sufficient.
Enough.
A lot of them do that. But why Rowley and they will want to insist, put it in law, to insist. I have a serious problem with these fellas. They're too damn greedy and wicked.
But you know that fellas can claim the pension too?
If what?
You know the 1% and all them could claim the pension too?
Yeah.
I make all my contributions, give me my blasted money.
Yes. All right, I have some other people coming in.
Yeah,
and I want to finish it. It's 10 o'clock now. Yeah.
All right, we will talk.
Yes, we'll talk, yes. Sorry that people, but of course we have rapidly reached the 10 o'clock mark. Let me just, of course, try to play off this one. All right, let's go back to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Hello? Welcome. All right, like we lost that one. Pleasant good night. Once, twice. All right, we're going. All right, let's go. Let's continue with the Likoto Jumbi.
Out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it. I want to tell you something. I'm from Miss Roll in Tobago. Miss Roll very close to Likoto. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it. I was in the cabinet. I took issue over the behavior of Paula Hart and Utica. And what happened to me? I was put out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it. I want to tell you something. I'm from Miss Roll in Tobago. Miss Roll very close to Likoto. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it. Remember I was in the cabinet? I took issue over the behavior in this PNM crowd, and I think I better confess something to you. Those who know me very well will know that I'm saying to you now. I didn't really want this job. I didn't want this job. I want to tell you something. I'm from Mason Hall in Tobago. Mason Hall very close to Liquor too. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it. Remember I was in the cabinet? I took issue over the behavior of Calder Hart and Udicott. And what happened to me? I was put out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it.
Yes, people, it's sad. It's sad. It's true. It's evil. It's wicked. And we must graphically and dramatize it so that it gets home to you. And this devil of an individual is so pernicious, is so steep, as if he has not just a propensity, but a predisposition to evil. And every aspect of his ministerial portfolio and presence in the office of Prime Minister, he seemed to have a bottomless pit of evil to unleash on the population. Can we continue to countenance that? No, must be the answer. This rapist and this pedophile, I must say that, can do nothing, because the truth will defend us. And let me tell you something. Short Young sent us a pre-action protocol letter, Andy and myself. And when we responded with 50-something pages, after his page was about, his pre-action protocol letter was about five pages for the most. I'm going to present it to you when we send back, because he said that we accuse him of lying, we accuse him of course, racketeering, because it was about, of course, Delcy Rodriguez and her presence here. When we sent him back, of course, we cleaned the flash drive that he sent to us, saying what we said. Well, we sent it back saying what he said, but we cleaned it and sent it back because we were so contemptuous. We were so dismissive. We want him to know we spending a blasted cent by no lawyer. When the truth is there, plain, conspicuous, and pellucid. That's what we did. And we sent 10. We left back one. I'll tell you in due course what that one was. But he sent back 10 lies that he told to the population, beginning, of course, with the very first one, when, of course, the population of La Brea had some industrial relations activity with the construction of that platform, the BP platform, in La Brea, Brighton. And they put on tools. And Rowley and they were upset because they said the first one of its kind being, of course, attempted in the Caribbean and, of course, in Trinidad and Tobago. And here it is, of course, the people must accept anything and, of course, continue to work because, of course, it's for the first time. How long you tell the workers say, and therefore they put on tools. And while Rowley came back, of course, boasting that he negotiated, of course, for very expensive gas in Texas that caused, of course, 2 years ago, NGC, of course, to lose money for the first time. Say he negotiated gas deal, and then, of course, at Point Lisas, some 11 or 12 companies closed down shop and move out of Trinidad of Point Lisas because of that so-called negotiation that he say he is the best salesman for Trinidad and Tobago. Well, brother man, if he's the best salesman for Trinidad and Tobago, what would you consider to be the worst? What would you consider to be the worst, Rowley? Sandals gone. This sea bridge collapse. Unnecessary and expensive, of course, highway to nowhere. Talking about the highway to Manzanilla, he say, but turned out to be just on the outskirts of Sandy Grande, where the problem continues to be, which we were supposed to solve. That is the level of... But the money finish. Money finish. Money finish. And he has the audacity, the temerity to stand up in our faces all now and talk about, of course, he did not what? He did not plan to, of course, charge, well, of course, put a threshold of $25,000 in the bank so that people who have that and above cannot, of course, be qualified for the national senior citizen pension. That's how wicked this man is. Because he of the state, parasitically, have already secured himself, including, of course, taking the SIOC money. And he expects, of course, $1 million and upwards in, of course, back pay. Yeah. Nothing for the rest of us. No benefit. You take away subsidies. You introduce, of course, property tax that you say you wasn't going to introduce. You say you wasn't going to introduce subsidy, and then you close down the blasted Petrotrin or the refinery. And today, of course, we have to pay $20 million a month to import gasoline, the same gasoline that we were getting here. And, of course, jeopardizing our energy security. And still had the audacity and the temerity to say that, of course, we have to depend on our carbon deposits because, of course, it provides some 80% of the foreign exchange that we get. But we can't get $50 in the bank today. Cannot get $50 US in the bank today. What more do you want to see? Trinidad and Tobago engulfed in a conflagration that, of course, would mean the destruction of Trinidad and Tobago in totality. That is what you want. That fire in Arima is a microcosm of what could take place in Trinidad and Tobago. And then, of course, we have a sinking of a oil rig, oil platform in the Gulf of Paria a couple of days ago. On top of that tragedy, Rowley and his government, they are a moving and existential disaster for Trinidad and Tobago. They are a threat to the civilization called Trinidad and Tobago. And if you cannot, as young people or as mature people in families across the nation, convey that to your grandparents and your parents, that we are facing, of course, a catastrophic, apocalyptic, Rowley and they are similar to the four men of the what? Yes, the Bible referred to them. We are facing total catastrophe. And we must understand what is at stake and accept that we have a duty and responsibility to respond. And we must respond affirmatively. We must respond in our best interest. And we must respond, of course, in the ultimate interest of Trinidad and Tobago, lest we get washed away by this tsunami of incompetence, impotence, inability to manage our affairs, corruption, nepotism, and rank and unadulterated theft and raiding of our treasury. I want to finish here because it's 16 minutes past 10 o'clock. I know we had a long night, very challenging weekend. Tomorrow morning, of course, Andy, Michael, and myself, we will be around, dealing, of course, with a number of issues, including, of course, the consequences of course, that decision that I'm hearing now. I have not yet confirmed as far as his candidacy is concerned for the Toko Sangre Grande. I know that, of course, whatever it is, whether it's in favor or not, we are going to be, of course, there assisting because we have no choice. It is an imperative. It is the Hobson's choice. We must get rid of the PNM, Rowley and his cohorts, and wait for the joyous day when they will be facing blue lights and silver bracelets, as they, of course, so blatantly in our faces accuse the UNC of, when in fact they were talking boomerang talk, a talk that they are guilty of, but want, of course, to deflect attention. We will have none of it. And that is why, of course, I had to go back to day one when they would have been futuristically then talking about these calamities that has materialized themselves over the last 9 years in Trinidad and Tobago under a Rowley administration. A pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Hey, Lennox, I give you a last call here, boy.
Go ahead.
Hitler, Adolf Hitler, you must remember he.
Yes, of course.
He spent 6 months
in
Tibet with monks who supposed to be holy people.
Yes.
And come back to Germany and shout one word, Nazi, and transform the whole of Germany and the German people. So he was loyal not to Germany, you know. He was loyal to that word, Nazi. And he couldn't care what the world was thinking about Germany.
No, when you see there are similar patterns with Rowley.
Yeah,
he came into government on a populist agenda, but then he burned down the parliament in Germany. People thinking, well, listen, he's an honorable man. Rowley did the same thing here. He, of course, undermined independent institutions, whether it's the Police Service Commission, whether it's the Integrity Commission, whether it is the Elections and Boundaries Commission, and we can go on and on, the Service Commission, etc.
Right.
Same pattern of behavior. It's just that there is no overt violence, as of course the Nazis had engaged in. And of course, if you want to talk about Holocaust and victimizing certain sections of the society, then of course you have to say the racial agenda of the PNM as exhibited by Rowley at the PNM. Targeting, of course, the Indian community. We have to be clear, and of course the African community too.
When the German people realized what was going on,
yes, it was too late.
they capsized the backside, you know.
Yes, but it was too late.
After the damage was done.
It was too late. The Allies came in and, of course, bombed the France out of them.
Everything.
Yes, so we have to commit suicide. Well, Rowley will end up, of course, with Kamala being, of course, in Trinidad, and the Tobago being for Fali, and he will get it, and he had to stay over the Bocas and wonder.
What I tell you now?
Yes, go ahead.
Look at the state of this country, right?
Yes.
Road, crime, whatever. That ain't bothering the PNM, you know. They're loyal to the insignia PNM. And to hell with everything else.
Yeah, well, of course, and the people will now turn on them, like in the case of Hitler, and say to hell with Rowley and them. And no matter how much ball he maul, and no matter how ingratiation he tries, and no matter how sympathy he plead for, it will be, of course, like the last days when, of course, the people will turn to the mountains and ask, of course, the mountain to fall on them, and it wouldn't, because it's about blue lights and silver bracelets for the tails. The entire cabinet under Rowley must be subjected to that kind of revenge from the people.
Open to because these people don't really care damn about this country, you know.
Of course not.
They care about the insignia or the monogram, whatever. PNM, they don't answer that.
Yeah, and that's why I'm sorry for my co-residents from Laventille who was taken over from Fitzgerald Hines. I must caution him, but privately I will not say it in public. All right, my friend, I'm going to wrap up now.
All right, well, tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow, yes. A pleasant good night, of course, to all of us. Don't forget, of course, we still have our Christmas hamper and, of course, toy drive going. I want to thank all of those who are making efforts. Maybe this Christmas might be the first Christmas morning. I will not be dropping, of course, little food hampers and so on for people across the country because of the, should I say, people are simply do not have, and we have not gotten the response that we would normally get. But I want to also confess that we have more responsibility now that we are located on George Street, and therefore that's part of East Port of Spain. I know that I made some contribution. For example, part of all of that, part of the proceeds that we got went, of course, to a little function today in the plannings, so the young people got a little treat. And of course, because of the dichotomy, because of the for let's say police and law enforcement purposes, the borderline issue, so that those on the southern side of Prince Street would have done theirs separately, those on the northern side would have done theirs separately, to of course bring some joy and happiness to the kids in particular about the castle, etc., etc. Monies raised by the community, for the community, and of the community. I want to say, of course, to them, I omitted to take some pictures. I hope that there are pictures that I can show tomorrow, where, of course, these young kids, were enjoying themselves in very difficult and challenging circumstances. Oblivious, of course, to what Rowley and they are meeting out to their parents, and what their parents had to do, go the extra mile in order, of course, to make them feel a sense of joy and to experience some modicum of some morsel of their own experiences when they were young and, of course, were growing up in these parts. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless, and of course, see you tomorrow on the ground report. Andy, Mikey, and myself, we will be there from 6 o'clock to about 8 o'clock, when we will be joined by Gael Caribbean, and of course, we'll be on television from then. In addition, of course, to social media, we won't abandon you. Social media, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, right on to 10 o'clock. So see you then. And of course, as per usual, we will end on a Sunday with some, inspiration by way of course, a medley. I like to call it, of course, the anthem of course, the corridor transformation, which of course has grown, I'm sure, for many of you to be a staple for Sunday, to complete your Sunday, or therefore what we consider your weekend, even though, of course, Sunday is the beginning of the week. Have a wonderful one. God bless. Bye-bye.
When
Miss all very close to liquor too. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it. Remember I was in the cabinet? I took issue over the behavior of Paul Hart and UDCOP. And what happened to me? I was put out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it. I want to tell you something. I'm from Miss Rowley, Tobago. Miss Rowley, very close to liquor too. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything, the person who put me out regretted it. Remember I was in the cabinet? I took issue over the behavior of Paul Hart and UDCOP. And what happened to me?
I see hate.
I was put out of the cabinet.
I see bitterness.
The person who put me out
Speaker, I see acrimony. Mr. Speaker, I see animosity. And Mr. Speaker, I see a man completely out of control. Completely out of control, Mr. Speaker. That is what I see. And that problem is not a new problem to me, you know. I was aware of the tendency for the honourable to go out of control since 1997. The minute you oppose my good friend, Mr. Speaker, the minute you oppose my good friend, he gets very, very angry. And if you oppose him strongly, Mr. Speaker, he becomes a raging bull.
Let's hear what this
Remember I was in the cabinet? I took issue over the behavior of Calderheart and UDCOP. And what happened to me? I was put out of the cabinet. The person who put me out regretted it.
The minute you oppose my good friend, Mr. Speaker, the minute you oppose my good friend, he gets very, very angry. And if you oppose him strongly, Mr. Speaker, he becomes a raging bull. And that is what this government is not prepared to act. That is what it was. We just were not prepared to accept that.
If this country cannot call to order its Prime Minister and his cabinet,
I will be prepared to consider my position on electoral politics in the following terms. My health, that is to say that I would have had to have an assessment on my health, and your support if you believe that you can support me, then I would have been prepared to consider it. In particular, when I had a stroke, and later on, 3 years, the people of Sanford Armies stood by me. I am determined to stand by you. So in closing, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give my consent to the party vice chairman, and I will make myself available if you so need me. Thank you very much.
one of the first things we will do after the 7th of September is to have a tremendous function to honor the service of Patrick Augustus Gordon Manning.
You hear them talking about the Manning era. When I was in the government and I was fired from the cabinet, it was over an issue in one state enterprise in UDCOT. The government changed on that issue. Because the UDCOT issue did in fact negatively impact on the PNM government in that election. That was surprisingly called.
Mr. Speaker, I see hate. Mr. Speaker, I see bitterness. Mr. Speaker, I see acrimony. Mr. Speaker, I see animosity. And Mr. Speaker, I see a man completely out of control. Completely out of control, Mr. Speaker. That is what I see. And that problem is not a new problem to me, you know. I was aware of the tendency for the Honourable Member to go out of control since 1987.
I want to tell you something. I'm from Mason Hall in Tobago. Mason Hall very close to Lekoto. The last time I was put out of anywhere for anything,